Oh, wait,
I got a hard out.
You got a hard on? You got a stiffy? You got a dinger today? What?
Huh? Love how he starts the show by telling us when he has to leave the show.
Hard out.
Why didn't you tell us before we went on that you had a hard out? Or are you telling us you're hard? Is that what you're telling us? Is that what's happening here, Lachlan? Yeah. Hi there, everybody. Welcome back. Lachlan says he's hard.
I do have a little swelling in my pants.
Yeah, you're a little swollen. Blood flow. You got big pants. Well, that's good. It's a nice day in Alberta. You know, I was thinking about it today. It was pissing rain, 10 degrees here. We got gray skies, clouds over the GTA. I'm in Toronto. Lachlan's in Edmonton. Lynn's, you're down in Binbrook, Hamilton region, which is, you know, you're getting the same weather we are.
Oh, yeah. It was pissing all day.
It is, but it's gloriously warm outside. It's like 10 degrees here. It's like freezing.
Was it that warm?
Cold where you are for a reason. Oh, yeah, it's awesome here. We had the best
Yeah, it's minus. Dog looked at me yesterday. I tried to take him for a walk, and he literally stopped at the door and looked at me and went, "Are you serious, old man? Like, I'm staying in here."
You go for a walk.
Yeah. Well, we got lots to get to, and we're going to talk about Alberta. That is going to be the main theme of what we're doing here because it's turning into some kind of crazy cult land dictatorship, and we'll talk about that coming up in a couple minutes. We're going to talk about toilet paper. We're going to talk about a few other things today, just because we're here. Might as well talk about toilet paper. The butt doctor's like, stop using toilet paper. We were going to get to it yesterday, not going to get it today. But generally speaking, today's show is dedicated to getting to know one of our new compatriots. As you know, the media space is full of people who have been doing a better job than the people who actually get paid to do this job. So what we love to do is comb the market for the people who are the best at this. And there's this dude named Nate Pike that's been lighting it up in Alberta. I believe he's in the Calgary region. I could be wrong, but we're going to have a little chit-chat with him today. Host a little program called The Breakdown. You may have heard of it, The Breakdown AB.
It's fantastic.
Or The Breakdown Alberta. Lynn's, you were on his Twitter Spaces last night where he was filming people, and this guy's a magician with information, isn't he?
Absolutely. Like, I don't know a whole lot about Alberta politics. The most I've known is just because I know of Lachlan. Lachlan, being friends with him, kind of brings...
God help you.
Not listening to your news, but knowing you kind of opens our eyes to different avenues to explore on our own, not listening to you.
Yeah, no offense, but you're no Keith Morrison. You're no Fifth Estate of Alberta politics. You're like a guy that complains about bike lanes and the funicular.
No, hold on.
Let's go for fucking drinks.
I know what you're saying.
That's the Alberta info we get from you.
You open the door.
You guys realized how shitty you treat us here by having somebody from here on the podcast to sort of shine it back in your face.
No. Your perpetual victim complex just kind of solidifies our judgment. That's all. That's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. And dude, you're not alone. There's a few million people that are in a couple of provinces sandwiched in the middle of Canada that are like, what about us? And we're like, dude, you get it all. Relax. And they're like, no, that's not enough. So anyway.
No.
Yeah, it is. No, it's not.
You know what it is?
You're not one of them. I'm not saying you're one of them.
No, we just pay for everything for you guys. So you guys can do a shitty job of governing yourselves.
We've subsidized you for like the last 10 years, right?
Yeah. So all the transfer payments, we send you all that money so you guys can pave your fucking roads and heat your houses and everything like that.
You know, that's fine.
But don't worry.
Anyway,
quick question.
Don't
do you
worry
know how much you get in transfer payments?
We don't get any.
That's not true.
That's not true at all.
No. We actually get none.
No.
Anyway, it's not up to us.
Nate can tell us
here. Yeah,
exactly. You guys seriously have been brainwashed that fucking badly that you guys have convinced yourselves that you send us money. You guys are so full of shit.
You've got people washing their eyes out with urine thinking it cures COVID. So stop.
Oh, dude, you're getting like 4 million piss drinkers in that province for real. Anyway, please welcome to the program the host of an incredible Alberta-based politics sort of way of life accountable podcast called The Breakdown Alberta. You can get it anywhere you get your fine podcast. Please welcome the host of that bad boy, Mr. Nate Pike, ladies and gentlemen. Nate Pike,
fantastic guy.
Look at him. He's got the bricks and everything in the background. We're such fucking losers. Look at his background.
I know. I got Christmas lights.
Microphone,
I was going to say the Christmas lights are delightful. It's seasonal.
Thank you.
Isn't it nice? Yeah.
Right.
Can I make the prison joke again?
Sure.
Yeah.
If it didn't get the laugh you wanted the first time, always go for
What time, Nate? What time does the basket with the lotion come down?
It's only when I've been very good.
Caudal.
It's almost like we rehearsed that, Nate.
It looks very, very Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs in there. It's really dark. I think. No, you got a pro setup, dude. How long have you been podcasting for? Tell us about the breakdown before we get into how much of a dictator province you're turning into.
Yeah, right. Well, the breakdown's been around for about 3.5 years now. We started shortly after the 2019 election, and the formats changed wildly. We were for it took us a while to find our legs. We started out doing sort of more community, very constituency based stuff, and then people kept wanting to come on the show and have conversations, and Alberta politics lit on fire in a way that I don't think anybody ever would have predicted. And the show's just kind of grown since then. We're now up to 2 episodes a week on a normal week. This week we did 3 episodes. We did an emergency episode last night because
it was a fucking abnormal week.
Great last night.
Holy hell. It was, last night was we do Twitter Spaces, and then we also do the podcast version. We're also getting into the live streaming, learning how to use Restream and everything. But it was a very interesting night last night because it was the first time in recent memory that we've had somebody who popped onto the show and wanted to say things that were like demonstrably false. And on that note, transfer payments are not sent; they're received. They're received. They're not sent.
There we go.
Jesus, Nate, you're brainwashed and you're here.
Suck it. How much, before just a quick aside, how much are we talking? Like, how much do I send Lachlan every year?
Yeah.
How much do Ryan and I send Lachlan every year?
You don't. I'm gonna walk through it in the quickest way possible. Well, yeah. Alberta has gotten quite a bit.
It's going to be like explaining the carbon tax.
No, but Alberta has gotten quite a bit of money from the feds over the last couple of years, in particular. And obviously, CERB was a program that made a big difference for a lot of people. We have been receiving a lot of support payments. We could talk about TMX. I mean, that is a transfer payment that went from a projected 7 billion to, I think we're up to 24 or something like that now. So there's a lot of ways that the country supports all of the provinces, and transfer payments in Alberta are particularly the number of people in Alberta who believe that the province of Alberta cuts a check directly to Quebec and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. It's stunning how many people believe
it's mostly Quebec,
right? Oh, here we go. It is.
Do you want to spend the whole show talking about transfer?
We could.
I don't. No, I don't.
We could though.
Lachlan wants to.
Well, what you're saying is, definitively speaking,
you guys don't know how to run your shit.
Alberta has lots of money, transfer payments are being sent. Dude, you can talk over me all you like. I'm just going to keep resetting the table so I can shit all over the uneducated Albertan. It's the best. You're saying the East sends a bunch. The federal government, I say the East, but the federal government sends hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions. What are we talking? Hundreds, tens? What are we talking?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that we have. I mean, again, even using just TMX is an easy example. That was a program that went from a projected $7 billion cost to get it completed, and it's going to be economically advantageous to Alberta. To last numbers that I saw were upwards of $24 billion. So
I am aware that the transfer payments in the last couple of years have evened out. Before COVID, that was not the case. If you take per person and break it down like people have, and I listen, what ends up happening with this math is
Jesus Christ.
What ends up happening with this math is it is complicated. It is.
No,
it is
complicated. Actually, it's not though. It's really simple because you pay the same income tax rate that I pay, that Dean pays, that everybody pays across Canada, and it's the income tax that's collected that goes towards the big pot that transfer payments come out of. That's it. The only reason why Alberta has disproportionately contributed to transfer payments, which they haven't, is only because Albertans per capita make significantly more than the vast majority of people in the country. So we pay more total income tax, but we're paying the same rate as everybody else. That's all it is. If we made less money, then we would pay less income tax. If you want
Yeah.
if you want to contribute less to transfer payments, make less money. It's really easy.
No, we're not talking transfer payments for the rest of the show.
let me
No,
ask
not
you a
a
question.
chance. No, you can do it in a DM.
Because
Do it in
yesterday
an
was a
email.
whole other thing.
Send them an email.
I want to
You got
talk
a whole
about
show to get
yesterday.
to. No, you got a hard out.
Let me
you said.
ask one question.
Oh fuck.
He's got a hard on now.
Listen, where does the confusion come from then? Is there any basis
people.
in it whatsoever?
No, politicians lie.
There you go.
That's it. That's all that it is. Politicians in Alberta have figured out that it's a great way, because historically some provinces have received more transfer payments than Alberta because we make more. But it's a great way for politicians to say, "Oh, guys, aren't we just the biggest victims in the history of everything? This is so unfair." And
do they mix the transfer payment conversation in with the taxes and whatnot from the natural resources that Alberta has that's not part of the tax system that feeds the transfer payments doesn't include the
tax on natural resources?
No, I'm gonna riff on an economist that we had on the show a couple years ago named Trevor Toome, who's like a weapons grade smart guy, and he educated me on transfer payments. Getting upset about transfer payments is like getting upset about how much the federal government spends on ashtrays or staplers or paper clips. It all is programs that are coming out of the same federal pot that gets filled by all of the taxes that get paid across the province. So yes, Albertans have historically paid more total income tax, but it's all the same percentage. It is if you want to see an economist in Alberta have their head just explode, ask them, "Hey, so how well do Albertans understand transfer payments?" And you'll get to see an economist have a stroke.
Or if you really want to set an Albertan politician on fire, ask them to prove to you that their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is real. That also helps too.
Hold on. I just want to say that I appreciate Nate's answer, and I'm glad you gave him the time to explain something that's very complicated. And I would also like to just say at this point, I choose to ignore everything that he fucking said.
That's right.
I choose to continue to be angry about
Yeah,
transfer payments
As you should.
and the fact that that we're basically propping up the rest of the country.
Yeah,
that's something that I choose to believe.
Yeah.
I get up angry every day about that, and that's just me. That's how I'm.
Don't steal Lachlan's talking points, please.
Shot in the dark. You were really happy how yesterday went in Alberta then.
Well, no, hold on.
For content, yes.
Nate, I will explain something to you about Danielle Smith.
Oh boy,
and this is something that I think will help you navigate the waters that you navigate with your podcast.
Okay?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm glad I brought him on
Smith.
to be the expert about Alberta, so you could educate him. This is great,
Fantastic.
Go ahead.
Nate,
I'm all here.
Danielle Smith is here to protect us from the evil in the East, and if you just are able to be comfortable with that,
I don't think
you'll be able to get it. Like you're just not getting it, Nate.
Yeah. Duh. Well, let's get to it, right? The reason why I wanted to have you on is because it appears that super religious, ultra fucked up, QAnon spewing, crazy train nutcase Danielle Smith, who, by the way, is a failed radio host. And if I know anything about radio hosts, and I do, to fail at that, you need to be extra fucked in the head. So, having said that, this failed radio host becomes the premier because she toes a hard line. And what I saw yesterday, and you filtered through the breakdown at the breakdown AB through your socials, by the way, follow these guys. They're incredible. What appeared to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, it appeared to me Danielle Smith and the United Conservative Party of evangelical theocratic dickwads are doing an end run to bring a theocratic dictatorship to the province of Alberta. Where am I at? How am I doing?
Protect us from the East.
Right.
You're not. You know what's scary, Dean, is that there's a lot of people who feel you're not very far from the truth. The reality is there were a couple of things that happened yesterday. One of them was Danielle Smith introduced her Alberta Sovereignty with a United Canada Act, or Bill 1. It passed its first reading, which in fairness is pretty typical for a bill when it's first introduced to the legislature. First reading is kind of like everybody gets to move one square for free. But the content of the content of the bill, yeah, it is really the content of the bill is where people are really, really quite concerned, because basically what it does is it outlines a process, and I wish I was making this up, where if anybody who's involved in cabinet, so any of the ministers, any of the associate ministers, if they find a thing that they believe the feds are doing that is unconstitutional or unfair to Alberta's subjective language, that is, they can then call for a debate in the legislature. The legislature then has a debate as to whether or not it's unfair. Now, worth noting that debate will be voted on by everybody in the legislature, but the UCP currently has a majority government, and they haven't lost any of their debates in 3.5 years. So whatever the debate is almost certainly would pass. And then once that resolution comes out of the legislature, the ministers can then take that resolution behind closed doors, and they can, through the language that's used in Bill 1, literally rewrite or write new laws with zero oversight. They can go behind closed doors, and they can change whatever rules they want. They can change whatever laws that they want.
Emergencies Act.
It is the Emergencies Act 365 days a year. Forever.
That's a great analogy, actually.
That's the kicker to the whole thing, is that the people who supported Smith into office, I mean, she's premier by some pretty low standards, I would argue. She won a UCP leadership race on the 6th vote with like 54% of the vote. So not a ccrushing victory by any stretch of the imagination.
And this wasn't a general election, it was a UCP leadership election, right?
So she won the leadership race, and then in order to get inside the legislature, she had to run in a by-election, which is another one that she just barely squeaked by. And that was in a traditionally safe conservative riding. Yeah. And now she's introduced legislation that gives her the power to, I'm not even joking, do whatever she wants.
What is that though? Like, what is the thing that they want, that she wants? What are they hoping?
Well, this is where it gets really scary, because it depends on the day, and it depends on who's asking the question. In yesterday's press conference, at one point she said, you know what, we're looking at multiple ways that we're going to invoke this legislation. We're looking at the new firearms legislation. We're looking at the fertilizer cap, which isn't a thing. They're looking at a bunch of other things. And then literally 25 minutes later in the press conference, she said, you know what, we really, really hope that we never have to use this. And it's like, you just said 20 minutes ago that you were gonna. And she is so erratic in regards to what her positions are. This is something that a lot of people in Alberta who are paying attention have noticed, because depending on the day, it really changes. She ended the press conference. This is where we are in Alberta right now. She ended the press conference by saying that despite the fact that there's an established evidence-based process for determining who gets organ donations, who gets to be an organ donation recipient in Alberta, because of her ideological bent, she's looking for a physician who will back her up so she can intervene in that. And the Premier of Alberta would get to decide whether or not the Organ Donor Board is the final arbiter of who gets organ donations. Like, that's how.
Good. So you want a radio host who failed in radio, who failed in politics several times, who failed in business, and was propped up by the Fraser Institute. She's going to decide who gets organ transplants.
It's going to be great.
Let's just be careful with the rhetoric here. Okay.
Sorry. This is a clip of Danielle Smith, and I want to get to Lachlan. Let's watch this.
Why do you need the power to rewrite laws without going through the legislature?
We need the power to reset the relationship with Ottawa. That's what this is all about. We've tried different things in the past, and it hasn't worked. So we've got to try something.
You know, there's another clip too, and I think this goes to kind of
play that next
about organs. Yeah, this is about organs. She wants to reset the relationship. That's the guys, right? Like, that's the fucking that's what she's telling you. This is about reset. No, it's not. It's about seceding from the country of Canada. It's about taking yourself out of the fucking federation of countries that make up this beautiful country.
She changed the name of the bill.
Yeah, okay.
To include that it's also the sovereignty national. What is it, Nate?
It's a very easy one to remember. It is the
Alberta sovereignty within a united Canada.
Oh yeah, okay. No, she just wants to leave Canada. This is Brexit. This is Brexit in Alberta. This is the Emergency Act 365. This is Brexit in Alberta. That is exactly what it is. And here's her commenting about.
We don't want to leave the country. We just want you
stop
guys.
It. Anyway,
want the money
again.
And he signed on to a resolution to phase out oil and natural gas, he would face a legal challenge from the provinces that Ottawa would not win. Now, this is not language I've ever heard out of Stephen Guilbeault, but I think it goes to the work.
That's not the clip. Here's the clip. Sorry, my bad.
We expect to table a number of special motions under this act in the upcoming spring legislative session, dealing with the examples of federal overreach that I just mentioned earlier. And here's the point. I hope we never have to use this bill. I hope that we've sent a message to Ottawa that we will vigorously defend our constitutional areas of jurisdiction, and they should just butt out.
But like, here's the thing. This is the same Danielle Smith who has floated the idea of, you know what, if there's going to be travel restrictions, what we can do is just knight an airplane full of Albertans on vacation as ambassadors to foreign provinces, and then they have diplomatic immunity, so it's cool, right? Which totally ignores how that entire process. I'm not even making this up.
That's not real.
Literally, she has said that on more than one occasion.
I love her.
Hold it. So her idea is if they leave Canada, like with this Sovereignty Act, her whole idea is to if you're on vacation.
This is outside.
Asking. No. That's the question. Her whole idea is let's knight a whole bunch of different people on a plane that are visiting different provinces from Alberta. No,
that was just because she was mad about the restrictions for travel.
Enjoy the embarrassment. I'm still going to give it.
No, I'm not embarrassed.
She's the one that wanted the direct pipeline to Florida. Remember?
I did not vote for her.
Okay.
This needs to be said out loud. As crazy as she is,
hold it. Let me just make sure I understood what Nate said.
Yeah,
that she's going to knight.
Knight's not the right word.
This was
one
of
the
ideas.
Plane full of diplomats.
Plane full of diplomats to go on vacation.
Anoint
provinces to represent them in the country of Alberta. Is that the case?
This was
not even the country of Alberta. This was something that she wanted to do to get around federal travel guidelines on both the Canadian and the American side. She was going to. Oh, I know.
Just pipeline right to Texas.
She was going to make all of the Albertans on designated planes, designated diplomats, which premiers and provinces don't have the power to do.
No.
But she was going to do that, and then that way these people would be exempt from any travel restrictions, which is also not how it's not how it works.
So she's Romana Didulo with an expense account, is what she is.
But she's Romana Didulo, who's the premier of Alberta, and is in the process of giving herself unlimited legislative power.
It is awesome. Okay, first off, let's say a couple of things.
God.
One, I want to say this out loud because I think it needs to be said out loud, and I'm not fucking around here, Nate. Alberta is a very proud province, and we have very strong views. And there is, and Nate's here; he feels it. It's not hard to find people that are that are very anti-Quebec. It is not hard to find somebody that is very upset about what we've gone through in the last couple of years based on the fact that they were forced to wear a mask. It is probably easier here to find people than, say, in other parts of the country. In the West.
Did you guys plan this? Like, was he supposed to be my foil? Is that what's going on?
Nate, let me
deal with this every day, Nate.
Okay, let me finish. Let me finish. So, but the majority of Albertans, and I'll throw Danielle Smith into the mix as well. I think she truly believes she needs to do these things for the province of Alberta as the leader of Alberta. But people are very proud Canadians here. We're very proud Canadians. And there is nowhere that you will not find a majority of people. And I want to say this out loud because we can fuck around and kid around, and we got a crazy person running Alberta right now. But people in Alberta do not want to leave fucking Canada. That is just not a thing. There's a couple of yahoos, and if you're one of them, you can call me. I'll come help you fucking move. Get out of here. This is a proud province. This is a proud country. And I'm a Canadian before I'm an Albertan. And that is the majority of people. We just have a nut job, and everyone just needs to get on this fucking boat and enjoy it because it's going to be fun.
Okay.
It's going to be a riot.
So equate that to your usual argument to us when we tell you it was only 8,000 weirdos that showed up in Ottawa. Oh no, it's not a handful. It's a big movement, guys. It's a big movement. There's a problem here. This is what you do to us. Now you're trying to do it back.
Those people will probably tell you they're more Canadian than you, Linz. I'm talking about the majority of people. I admitted
so
that
were we.
that was a small. I admitted that the convoy was a small percentage of the population and not a representation of a majority on any level.
Okay.
But I said I always thought right from the beginning of this that it was bigger than the 8,000. That there is more division in this country than we even are aware of. I mean, and that's from just living here. That's from going to the bar and having a beer and hearing the two guys next to me on the table. It's about having conversations like this and getting people lashing back at me on Twitter based on them jumping on here. I've got people that refuse to watch this podcast because they think that it's way too liberal, which I find fucking hilarious because you put me on it, right? Like, I'm just saying, and we're taking up too much time. I just needed to say out loud, let's kid around and everything, but Alberta is very Canadian. We're very fucking proud here. And before, and Nate can attest to this, we're more liberal than you think we are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no question. That's one of the great kickers is that one of the obstacles that Alberta has to figure out how to navigate before we light ourselves on fire is if you go to, let's say you go to Locke's Bar there, if you were to ask 10 people, what does it mean to be a conservative in Alberta? I guarantee you will get 10 different answers.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the problem is that there's people like Danielle Smith, I would even argue Jason Kenney, who sort of said, hey, I'm a conservative. I'm just like you. And no, you're not. You're absolutely not. There's this elite thing that's going on, and it's not what resonates with the majority of Albertans. That's one of the reasons why Jason Kenney got kicked to the curb as quickly as he did, because he came in and was like, I'm all down home folksy like you guys. And he never was. He pretended to be something that he wasn't. And the danger with Danielle Smith, and this is where I get really nervous around her, is you're absolutely right, I think, Locke, in that the vast majority of Albertans are proud Canadians. I mean, I don't have an Alberta tattoo. I've got a Maple Leaf tattoo. And
I got a UCP tattoo.
I'm sorry.
Scapula. Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's a hell of a bet to lose. But
So
what I
Nate,
was going to say...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, finish up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is the problem is that there are these small little groups that exist.
Yeah.
There's people like the Alberta Prosperity Project. There's people like Take Back Alberta who have figured out that they can weaponize engagement in order to push. And I'm going to bring it back to where you started this whole conversation, Dean. There are some real evangelical nutbars who are getting very, very involved. They're getting very, very powerful. And there's a lot of people who just don't realize actually what's going on. And it's really, really scary because we are literally at a place where we went from, I mean, I remember, and I opened last night's show with talking about this. I remember when the biggest scandal in Alberta politics was a bunch of politicians went to Hawaii when they weren't supposed to. That was a big deal. That was a really big deal. And we're now at a place where the new premier of Alberta, who has become premier with literally less than 10,000 votes cast, probably less than 10,000. I think
1.4% of the population.
Yeah. This person is now passing in the process of passing legislation. And the other piece that's really important to understand with this is that it's a whip vote. Which is to say, one of the other problems that we have is that she created the biggest cabinet in recent history. More than 2/3 of the UCP caucus is in cabinet. And every single person who's in cabinet has to vote how she says. So she only needs a handful of votes on top of that in order to pass this thing. And she's with this very, very small percentage of the population supporting her and empowering her. She's literally putting legislation forward that's going to allow her to write and change laws unchecked. Now, there's a lot of people who are arguing, hey, you know what? The courts are going to step in. The lieutenant governor. Yeah, the lieutenant governor might step in. The federal government actually has the ability to say, whoa, you're not allowed to do that because it's as legal as all hell.
That'll go over well.
Oh, yeah, in Alberta, that'll go great. But in the meantime, there is real irreparable harm that's going to be visited upon Alberta. You think about any major Well, I'll say that I'm a major corporation and I'm trying to figure out where to set up shop. Do I want to go somewhere where the premier of Alberta can unilaterally change the laws on a whim? That sounds like a great investment. Let's say that I'm a healthcare worker.
What if it benefits that company?
If you're the right company, it might. Train to BAMF anyone. But one of the other pieces of it is if I'm a healthcare worker and I'm looking at the situation in Alberta right now where we're literally putting trailers in front of the children's hospital because we're running out of space, and they're looking at mandating overtime. They're looking at revoking vacation time. With just that environment alone, that's a pretty hard sell to say, hey, come here. It's great, guys. But when you throw on top the fact that we have a justice minister who went to war with physicians, who is facing a legal review from the Law Society on 3 counts where he, on one, showed up in somebody's driveway and screamed at them.
Is this Shandro? Tyler Shandro?
Yeah, this is Shandro. He's the justice minister
piece
now.
of shit. It's awesome. He's an enormous piece of shit in a suit. Yeah,
he was the failed PPC guy from here.
Oh, he's just human garbage. Yeah. But can I just ask you a couple questions? We're talking about a group of people that are all evangelical zealots, correct? By and large.
There's some of them that are. There's some of them that aren't.
No,
the problem is
not everybody.
No, not everybody, but a group of people that, by and large, are run the nexus of the UCP party, are theocratic.
They're tugging the strings.
They're tugging the strings.
The puppeteers are.
Yeah. So how is this different than, let's say, Iran? Other than the beatings, I mean,
it's a lot more white.
Religion.
It's a lot whiter. Dude. I was thinking about this last night. So I'm following Nate's.
This has not been passed
bear me out.
Law
Let me
yet.
bear this out. Let me bear this out. So you've got a very small group of people that the majority of Albertans didn't put there, and the nexus of that group of people is a theocratic, religious, evangelical establishment that is removing safety precautions like masks in schools, mandated masks in certain places, because they don't believe, like most evangelical fucking losers, by the way, that the vaccine is real and they don't want to put it in their body. It's the mark of the beast. They're not saying these things out loud, but that is really why they're doing that. Now, when it comes
some of
to
them are.
Sorry,
we had MLAs who attended the Coots blockade. There were multiple.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, they went to the Coots blockade and were like,
couple.
"Hey, we're going to bring our grandkids and pose for pictures." I wish I was joking, but I'm not.
No, he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the evangelical zealots, the theocratic
There's a few
establishment, the movement of sorts that is
Prairie.
telling 4 million people, right? 4 million people who don't share their views. This is how it's going to be in this shithole. So fucking like it or lump it. We're going to mandate overtime. We're going to take away your vacation. We're going to take away your right to wear a mask. We're going to take away your right to actually work in this province. We're going to remove that, remove choice, remove consent. That's what they've done. And I find it fucking hilarious, Nate, because for the last 2 years, those cocks, and I'm calling them cocks, religious theocratic dickheads, those pricks have been telling the rest of the country the opposite about us getting vaccinated, wearing masks, and trying to be good citizens.
Yeah, the hypocrisy is really hard to bear.
It's fucking unbelievable to me. Like, it's just craziness.
Yeah, that's like I said earlier, that's the irony of all of this, is that the people who I guess campaigned on freedom, they're the ones who have put her in power, and she is, in a way that we haven't seen since like the Bible Bill Aberhart days, she is launching an assault on democratic norms. Like here's my big metric. There are a lot of constitutional scholars in Alberta. There are a lot of very well respected, highly educated political scientists. And as a general rule, one of the first places I go when I look at something and I go, oh shit, is I look to see what these people are saying. And there's been a lot that these people have been upset about over the last couple of years, because Alberta's been quite the dumpster fire, if you've been paying any attention. Got the shirt and everything. Yeah. But
you sell those, Nate?
Got the shirt.
Those
That's
are great.
Dumpster fire.
It's from a website called 100% Soft. But I haven't seen anybody who knows political science. I haven't seen anybody who knows constitutional law who is getting anywhere near defending this thing. Everybody is saying, what's happening here? This isn't normal. This is like,
that's why I feel like it's not, and I need to go to bed tonight thinking this, that it's not going to work. I understand the premise and I understand why she's doing it, and this is red meat for the base, and it makes sense to me from that perspective. But at the end of the day, tonight when I go to bed, if I truly believe that this woman is actually going to pass this bill and this is going to effectively change how we create laws in Canada, I'm not going to sleep tonight, Nate, and it's going to be your fucking fault. So you need to tell me.
It's
you need to tell me that everything is going to be okay.
You know, there's a lot of really great content to binge on Netflix when you can't sleep. So I'm going to say because here's the reality, and here's the long game. This is what fundamentally scares me the most: is Alberta went from an NDP government, and I'm not like NDP by any stretch of the imagination. I really.
You some kind of crazy fucking lefty there, Pike?
Nope. Middle East
some
punk
kind
rocker.
of crazy Trudeau ball licker? You some one of them?
But we went from a
fucking
government.
lib.
You guys are the ones out east. We went from a government that was arguably somewhat rooted in the basis of law to Jason Kenney. Jason Kenney created a populist wave. He pandered to the worst of Albertans in order to unite the two conservative parties, the UCP and the Wild Rose. And he then implemented a boatload of policies that a lot of people went, whoa, that's pretty far even for conservatives in Alberta. And then the pandemic happened and a bunch of people got radicalized. And Danielle Smith went, I can make this populist wave even bigger. And the problem that we're inevitably, there's a check that's been written that at some point we're going to have to figure out how the fuck we're going to cash, because the reality is there's a whole lot of people who have completely forgotten how society is supposed to work, and they believe that they can just make up their own rules. And if Danielle Smith doesn't deliver, stuff's only getting more dangerous out here.
Well,
I mean, you take a look at the kind of crimes that we're seeing in Alberta. We're seeing record numbers of hate crimes, and that's coming because people are being emboldened by this bullshit
Is hate
attitude.
crime shit through the roof in Alberta
it's
right
up
now?
everywhere, though. It's up everywhere. It's up across North America.
Sure,
I
because
think people are just angry.
There's a springboard effect from people like that taking office, right? Like there's a springboard effect when PP comes to town and he's like, fuck the world, we're going to take over. Real freedom begins today. And they're like, that's my guy. I get to go out and be a homophobic.
Alberta's not an isolated incident.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that
democratic societies.
No, totally.
No, but
totally.
the difference is the fundamental difference is if you compare countries where there's responsible leadership, or districts or jurisdictions where there's responsible leadership that doesn't lean into this, we have a premier who endorsed ivermectin. We have a premier who ran a GoFundMe in order to pay for doctors to be able to administer ivermectin. We have a premier who created that GoFundMe to launch a lawsuit that never happened. She raised over $100,000, and by most accounts, coming from her own people, she took at least $90,000 of that and donated it to the JCCF, which is a tax-free organization. So she converted people's outrage into a $90,000 tax deduction for herself. This is what we're dealing with. This is not somebody who's going, let's slow everything down. Let's be reasonable. Let's take a look at the evidence. This is somebody who leans into pseudoscience. This is somebody who leans into all of the bullshit rhetoric that exists around COVID and emboldens it.
Yeah. You know what? Let me just kind of drop this too, is that the receipts that we get here in the province of Ontario fly in the face of every message that they try and send us, right? So, case in point, Doug Ford, never going to build on the Greenbelt, building on the Greenbelt. Big problem here. Everybody's fucking up in arms over the whole thing. We're going to support our nurses. No, he doesn't. So he beat the shit out of two of them in front of his rally during the election and capped their wages. But his group
trying to save us another lawsuit.
His group of security guys beat the shit out of him in front of one of his debates. One of them, he had a Karima arrested at an invite that she was invited to.
Wow, come on, she was on a scooter.
Television, like, I mean. Those receipts where he says this guy's here for you, he's here for the province, he's here for the people, they're non-existent because every other receipt says otherwise, and those receipts come from works. Case in point, same thing. I mean, Danielle Smith can stand up there and go, we need to reset the relationship with Ottawa, but what she's really saying is, I am in it to fucking grab as much fucking power for my theocratic executive relationships and donors and assholes and evangelical pricks, because I'm going to cult the fuck up out of this province. Is that not kind of the message? Like, that's the message that I get every time I read anything from you, Nate. Anytime.
Where I think we're going, Nate, and sorry, I just want to jump in.
There's a question. Can you just let him answer it first, and then you move on, and you can. Yeah.
You've been a little testy today. Everything okay?
I hate the woman.
You've been very talkative today.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I might have lost the question in there. But
there wasn't one. That's why I jumped in to help.
Okay. So here's what I would say to that.
Helper.
Yeah,
there's no question that Danielle Smith has initiated the biggest power grab in anybody's living memory. Really, there's no question about that. But I'm going to go back to what Lachlan was talking about a moment ago. There are, I hate to get cliche, but I really do believe that there are far more Albertans who care about Canada. And I really do believe that there are far more good people than there are the people who I mean, there's a couple of hundred people who screwed up the border at Coots. Alberta has a population of like 4.5 million. So we've got some weapons grade idiots out here. There's no question about that. And those people have been fueled by people like Danielle Smith, who have misrepresented information, who have said, hey, you know what? That's not actually true. Maybe we should talk about what's actually true. Danielle Smith has exploited these people's fears and exploited these people's frustration. The pandemic has been a shit show for everybody. There's no question about that. But if you take a look at the jurisdictions that have done well, they're the ones where responsible leadership have stepped forward and said, hey, guys, we're going to get through this. You take a look at the jurisdictions that have done badly, and they're called Alberta, and most of the leaders have flaunted the rules and emboldened the very worst in people. But I absolutely still believe that there are way more good people in Alberta.
I can sign up.
And I think that we're going to see, if she does hold an election in May, I think what needs to happen moving forward, because Nate's right, and the frustration for me when I look at where we're at and look at the leadership that has stepped in and taken over here in Alberta is we have to, from like individually, we have to be more concerned about who's running and who is drawn to this madness, this political world. Because if you ask anybody with any sense of sanity, whether or not they would get into politics, they're not touching it. Like, you have to be a complete lunatic to think that being in politics is a good idea. So what ends up happening now is
dumbest people in the world.
I just have to say this.
Yeah.
I ran twice.
Nate,
wow. Before this shit show, though, I would imagine, Nate. Correct?
Oh, yeah, no, before that. I ran in 2019.
Yeah. Well, you got to pass. That was 4 years ago, dude. Almost 5. Yeah, you're good. Yeah. It used to be an actual
I don't know you well enough to remove that statement from the record, but here's the thing I'll say. This is my opinion. If you are running for politics or you think that that's a good idea, you're crazy. And then the other side of the equation is that we have actually put a bunch of crazy people in power. And this is the result of it. It doesn't mean that that's a representation of what it is. And the other thing is, we keep talking about this with people that are smarter than me, and they've explained it to me. I don't give money to any political party because I'm a centralist. I'm in the middle. I am not represented. You donated
to the Green Party. We know you did.
The Green Party was trying to be funny, but no one thought that was funny. So I didn't send them another $10 when they tried to up me again. So here's the thing. We now have these institutions that pander completely to the extremes of society on both sides of the fence, the right and the left. Unlucky in Alberta, we have somebody who is pandering to an extreme side, the right, and she thinks she's doing what she needs to do to make this province better, Nate. That's what's more terrifying.
I don't think she
We
does.
don't have any choice.
I think
How are we-
I don't think it's impossible for me to think that the decision she's made have anything to do with the best interests of 4.5 million people.
I think she does. I think she thinks she knows better.
She's a fucking. She's the idiot we know she is.
She's crazy. She's
I think
crazy.
she's out.
Dean.
I think she's out for her. And I think that if you watch how she speaks, I mean, if you take a look at even those clips that you showed earlier from the press conference, that the degree of self-satisfaction that she's getting out of those press conferences, and especially there was one interaction
it's
with a
masturbatory
journalist
for her. I think at this point you can see that look of just pure
I wouldn't even want to
ignorance.
watch that.
Yeah, there was one journalist who was trying to ask her a question, and she had glee on her face from walking away from that question. So I don't think for a second that she is doing what she believes is right. I think what we have is somebody who really, really likes to be the center of attention, really, really likes to
That's
win.
the other thing.
She's a radio person.
That's
of
it.
course
Well,
she does. She's a fucking failed radio host.
Narcissist.
That's all people in that business care
She
about.
thinks it's
Me,
ratings.
me.
We-
This is her time. She is making people eat shit because she ate shit before. This is about revenge. This is about her Lord and Savior. This is about her executive relationship, her buddies at the Fraser Institute. This is about all those fucking losers that see her at church on Sunday morning where they're like, "You're really doing a great job for the Lord." And she's like, "Praise be." That's what
I
she's
don't even know if she's
"Praise
that
be."
religious, to be honest with you. She hedges her language quite carefully. But
Too carefully though. That's why I think
she has to if she's going to pretend she's
full on.
Cherokee Native. Like she can't say she's a big Christian if now she's Native, right? So
See, that's another one. Like she's invented this whole history of hers that simply doesn't exist, and it's
Like what? What did she tell everybody? She said
she said that her grandfather was a refugee from the communists, but he moved here like years before then. There was a news article, I think it was The Star, did a really good assessment on that. The APTN did a deep dive into her claims that she has. I mean, one of the things. I'm going to choose my words carefully now. One
Please
of the
don't,
things
Nate.
that
we don't encourage that here.
Yeah.
no, I have to because I have a lawyer. But one of the things that happened recently in Alberta politics was that Danielle Smith fired a contractor because he was allegedly involved in a series of videotaped pranks where he allegedly was impersonating a sketch that originated out of Alberta in the 80s called Brocket 99, which is like the most racist thing that you can imagine towards First Nations people. And Danielle Smith said, "You know what? I fired this guy because, I feel the pain. My great-great-grandmother was Cherokee, so I'm with y'all. So I've gotten rid of this guy." And APTN did a deep dive, and there's absolutely nothing to support that. And when she was asked about it, she said, "Oh, well, I haven't really looked into it. These are just stories that everybody told around the dinner table. So, and you take a look at how
I know the
Indigenous-
guys that did Brocket 99, by the way.
Okay, so
of course you do.
I mean,
Give her a number. Give me the number. Give me the names. I'll tell you.
but I mean, this is another piece that gets really important to understand just how much contempt she demonstrates for the people that she's supposed to be serving. Because before she went into the legislature, before she introduced Bill 1, the Sovereignty Act within a united Alberta or Canada or whatever, every single leader.
Act? You're talking about the Super Duper Act?
Yeah, every single leader of the treaty signatories in Alberta came out and said, "Oh, don't you dare," because the treaties that we signed with Canada, and they predate that cute little province that you've got there. So if you go down this road,
I didn't think of
we're
that.
not going to deal with you. And she still, despite her Cherokee heritage, went ahead and did it.
That press conference where one of the reporters asked, they all burst out laughing.
When you're the
that
premier
was
of the province
racist.
and the leaders of every single treaty nation in the province are laughing at your dumbass claims about Indigenous heritage, like
Stolen Indigenous valor doesn't go
Yeah,
over
stolen
well in
valor.
Alberta.
right?
Right?
Yeah.
No.
tends to be something that are the indigenous people, the owners and the rightful people of these lands, tends to be something they don't look kindly upon, is when someone's like, I'm Native, and they're not. Like, it's just it's just not something that they enjoy. So the fact that she was mocked soundly, and the fact that the rest of the world jumped on that, and the fact the audio was great, like the video of them saying, "Hey, what do you guys make of her Cherokee heritage?" And all the treaty leaders are like,
just burst into tears.
One of the greatest clips of all time. Yeah,
it's one thing. It's one thing when it's a guy trying to like get out of paying taxes on his Dodge Ram to claim that he's Native, and then it's another when it's one trying to pull the wool over an entire fucking province's eyes.
That's a good point.
Here's the thing,
when there's total proof to the opposite. Anyway,
exactly.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Here's the thing, Nate, and I don't know if you have an answer for this, but it's fine if you don't. I go back and forth on her. Like I'm baffled. Like, I am so confused by what Kenny was easy. Kenny was dumb and he made a lot of mistakes, but he was kind of like, and he was kind of easy to figure out. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
This is so wildly confusing to me. And
the next step.
And this whole panel thing here, this discussion today isn't helping me out at all, because I mean, Dean's on the she's religious, and you're like, I don't know, religious, and this Constitution thing, is she doing this because she thinks it's the right thing to do? Like, I am thrown for a loop by her, and
here's what Danielle Smith is really good at. And this is why she's so successful. She says all of the words. So if you want her to be somebody who says, you know what, I believe the vaccination is important, she'll say that. 5 minutes later, she'll say, "Oh, but horse pays too." She does not hold a fixed position on everything, and that's actually terrifying. Because I mean, there's a great example I'll use. Apparently, one of the Breakdowns Facebook posts got shared in some kind of a group that I'm clearly not a member of, because we put up the video of House Leader Joseph Schau when he was asked at a press conference 2 days ago now whether or not Danielle Smith was going to be going ahead with making vaccination choice a protected human right and free from discrimination. Now, first of all, vaccine status isn't discrimination because it's a choice, and you can't be discriminated on the basis.
But it's already a choice.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so that's stupid. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah,
but Joseph Schau said, you know what, we're going to be focusing on affordability. That's not a priority. We've heard from caucus. We've heard from people. We're not going to be doing that. And we would have to rewrite pretty much every law of the land, which we may or may not do. But this is not something that's going to be happening anytime soon. We've dropped that. That was one of Danielle Smith's biggest campaign promises. And to watch the comments that came in on the Breakdowns Facebook post, the mental gymnastics that people were doing to still hold on to the belief that, no, Danielle Smith has got our back because that's what they've invested in, was really something to behold. I gave up trying to moderate it a little while ago because it was just like an onslaught. They swarmed. But the reality is that because Danielle Smith holds all of these different positions verbally, you can pick and choose what you want to believe about her. If you want to believe that Danielle Smith's a reasonable human being, you can find a quote that will back that up. If you want to find a quote that says Danielle Smith is totally not a separatist, she's all for an Alberta within a united Canada, you can find a quote to back that up. But the flip side of the coin is she's exceptionally good at saying the opposite, or at least strongly alluding to the opposite. She appeared at a debate during the UCP leadership race hosted by a group called the Alberta Prosperity Project, which is not only unabashedly separatist, but they're actually trying to form their own political party. So she went to a fundraiser for another political party that is a separatist party, and they have some really strong evangelical bents. You take a look at what their vice president of Treasury and Economics, his Facebook page is a lake of fire. He has all of the you want to talk about stereotypes about horrible
hellfire and brimstone. Everybody's going to hell if you don't accept the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ right now.
It is something to behold.
I love it.
And so she appeals to that group as well. And she said, Dennis Modry, who is a physician who's not allowed to practice in the province of Alberta anymore, who got himself in a boatload of trouble during COVID because he was saying things that it was so bad that the Alberta College of Physicians and Surgeons issued a statement saying, hey, everybody, just so you know, he doesn't actually have any background in public health, and he's not allowed to practice medicine anymore. Do with that what you will.
Is that the guy that opened up his own clinic with his wife? Or attempted to? It was up for like a day or two.
Yeah.
He might have attempted to. I don't know if it's the
I
same
think it was
guy,
a
but
part of it. I think,
he's one of the big guys in the Alberta Prosperity Project. And Danielle Smith, when asked, the question was something to the effect of, what's your plan B? If your Sovereignty Act doesn't work, what's your plan B? And she straight up said, my plan B is Dennis Modry and the Alberta Prosperity Project.
That's exciting for you.
That's exciting.
You could be turned into you could be turned into Iran. You could be turned into Afghanistan. It could be like, hey, listen, everybody's got to go to church on Sundays. The coffers will be full. Church pew breath on Sunday mornings might
White
be at an all-time high. Yeah, White Manistan. Let's start calling it that.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
The bottom line is that Danielle Smith can be whatever you want her to be,
And
because she says all
That's
of
an
the
interesting
things.
take.
Yeah,
That's an interesting
That's
take.
why you're confused, Locke. I would imagine, right? Like,
Well-
it's because you have a hard time in pinning her down, and it's what we do as people. We try to put people in these boxes that
I'll
we
make
can
you feel
understand,
better.
and we try and pin them down. But the reason why you can't pin her down is 'cause she's all over the fucking place.
Oh,
because
she's made a
she'll
Mercury.
say and do whatever she wants to be able to get whatever she wants.
That's a
at
very
your
interesting take.
expense. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's
I'll offer you a little bit of comfort though, Lachlan, if that does upset, like if it gets you upset and makes you not want to sleep tonight. From somebody that's worked on executive boards for both provincial and federal government, rule number one is you can try to appeal to every side, but only for so long until one of them becomes absolutely rabidly against you, and then that there's no turning back from that.
Yeah.
She's tap dancing that now, and we're all in that shock phase right now. Everybody, both sides are in the shock phase going, one side's going, oh my God, she is the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christo. And the other one is saying, holy fuck, she's nuts.
Yeah.
We're all just kind of like waiting for that to die down. And then once
Rachel
that
Notley's reaction to her is exactly what you're like. She's just like,
yeah.
it's
But
like
see, this
somebody
is
fired
where-
a gun off.
It doesn't last though. It's not
so I can-
sustainable just in politics at all. In the
Yeah.
history of
Yeah.
democratic politics, just so you know, it is not a sustainable way to be a somebody that
govern.
gets elected. It doesn't work. She'll get tossed to the curb. Sorry.
Do you know what the NDP threw out on Sunday? And this was we made fun of this because it was just like are you kidding me? This is what we're talking about. Knowing that a throne speech was coming, knowing that Danielle Smith was going to be introducing some kind of version of the Sovereignty Act. Turns out it was worse than what everybody thought. The NDP released a video where they talked about the price of groceries, and they said, we have to figure out why groceries are so expensive, and we have to do something. It's a global supply chain issue. We just finished a 3-year pandemic. That's it. That's the ball game. And they're on social media talking about the price of margarine. She's subverting democracy, and you're worried about the price of margarine. Can you please get in the game?
Well, Nate,
it.
though, I think the problem is, Nate, Danielle Smith took a lot of Rachel's playing cards away from her, right? In that throne speech.
I don't think so, because here's the thing with Rachel Notley, and I'm gonna get comments from this thing no matter what. But here's the thing with Rachel Notley.
You're in trouble, Nate. When came on with
say it, libtard. Say it.
Yeah,
my phone's been buzzing like crazy to my left over here. But here's the bottom line.
Oh, it's on the left, is it?
Yeah, way to go. Your phone's on the left. Way to go, lefty.
Well, I need the water bottle on this side. The bottom line with Rachel Notley is when she is not the controlled, scripted. She's like the complete opposite of Danielle Smith. Danielle Smith is at her best when she's scripted and under control. The televised address that she did on Wednesday, she did incredibly well. And all of us at the breakdown, we did a panel thing. And we're like, yeah, she did crush it. You put her off script, and that's when the dumpster fire starts. Rachel Notley is the complete opposite. When Rachel Notley does a scripted presentation, like her response to Danielle Smith's address, it was like stronger than Ambien. It was painfully sedate.
There you go, Locke.
It was
But
bad.
when you get Rachel Notley in a candid moment, that's where
She's awesome.
can
She's
she
a
can
firecracker.
she is a firecracker, and she can make a real dent
She's funny
in
too.
she can make a real dent in what Danielle Smith is doing. But the messaging from the NDP is so white bread.
It's not good. It's not
very
good.
dry.
They
You know what I
have
said,
to-
Nate? You know what I said?
That's
And I've
across the
said this
board,
out
by the
loud.
way.
It just you have to be careful on how you say this. I'm realizing it coming from a privileged white male position. But I kept saying, Rachel, shh, just let them do the work for her. But she can't. They can't. Like, she should be just sitting in her basement right now, drinking a beer,
Yep.
watching soccer. Just let them do all the work for you. Just
I think that, but here's the thing: that in normal times, before the end times that we're living
That's
in
it.
now, in normal
That's
times, hey,
the post-truth reality we live in. You're right. Prior to this, that worked.
earthquake in Alberta, we're in the end time. Normal times that would work, but the reality is,
Right.
people need to see. Like, it's fascinating to me because we have people come on the live streams that we do, and we get lots of interactions on the Twitter machine, and there's a lot of people who are very supportive of the NDP who follow the breakdown. There's also a lot of people who are supportive of the UCP who follow the breakdown, and I'm cool with that because as long as you're not lying, I'm here for it.
Right.
But she has to reflect the mood of her base for sure, and she has to reflect the mood of the province. And right now there's a whole province going, what the fuck? I'm scared. Who is this crazy woman who's going to destroy our democracy? What's happening? And what Rachel Notley or any of the other political party leaders, because we do have a couple, they're very small and they're cute, but they could grow. What they need to do is say, you know what? Not on my watch. Not on my watch. I will not allow this to happen. And I'm going to do it professional and I'm going to do it cool. But nope. We're coming for you in May. We're taking back. Like the slogan that I think that the NDP should be running, and I'm not a political scientist by any stretch of the imagination, but the slogan that I think the NDP should be running is enough is enough. And if they went with that, if they drew a line, a principled, evidence-based line, which is their bread and margarine, then I think that they could really, really resonate. But
you know what I think. You know what I think the issue is in Alberta, though, Nate, is I think
Albertans.
I think everyone's trying to figure out whether or not she's onto something, and so they're sitting back going, "Do people really care enough about this?"
No, because here's the thing: if you see a toddler. If you see a toddler running through the living room and in one hand he's holding a lit blowtorch and in the other hand he's holding a can of gas, you can go, I wonder what's going to happen here. Or you can go, oh shit. Yeah. And right now we have a premier. And I'm going to keep saying this because it's the reality. We have a premier who is introducing legislation that will let her unilaterally, without any oversight, write and change laws.
What do they call that in other countries? What do they call that when a politician does that? What do they call that politician? Starts with a D. Anybody?
Bad.
A dictator, actually.
Yeah. Autocratic dictatorship.
Kleptocracy. Autocracy.
Yeah.
It is oligarchy.
Yeah.
And it is all around.
It'll be
that woman and her friends and people involved in dark money and church groups and all the other bullshit. It is what it is, right? And we've seen it spread across the country. Pierre Poilievre literally harnessed that same fucking small dick energy to blow across the country and get something for himself. I believe that by and large, that you're not seeing anybody involved in any of these movements, whether it's conservative, whether it's United Conservative, whatever it is. If it's federal, it's provincial. I truly believe that none of those people are doing any of the things that they are doing to get into the positions that they're getting into because they give a shit about anybody in this province. This is pure self-serviment. This is just bullshit. And we can all see it. We can all call it what it is. But I love getting behind it and trying to figure it out, which is why I asked Nate to kind of come in today, explain the fucking really dumpster fire of Alberta, because as you can clearly see, the guy we have on from Alberta is still part UCP, part Green Party. He's not too sure. right? So he's like, I don't know. I kind of like her. Do
exploring
I
my
like her?
options.
I don't know. But people here love Canada. No.
It's
We
like
need
a
to call
21-year-old
spades
college
spades.
boy
Yeah, he's like,
exploring
"Oh, I don't
everything,
know. I don't know.
touching everybody.
But
Yeah.
see, here's what I'll say, Lachlan. You were talking about how you hang out at the bar and you talk with people and everything. That whole thing that you were doing right there, where you were taking it all in, that's what we need people to be doing, because this is where we are.
Yeah,
It's undeniable. This is where we are.
That, Nate, and I, if it is true what you said, that your platform is open and you're trying to hear everybody's voice, I think we need more of that kind of thing in the world that we live in right now. And I keep saying that, like when people come at me from both sides, which they do. I host a morning show in Edmonton, and we get into politics. We're primarily an entertainment based show, but because we've grown, we have a variety of opinions coming at us. Like today, we even talked a little bit about the whole Kenny separation and Danielle Smith's new law. She's trying to pass, and I was like, I legitimately said on the air, like, hey, just asking for a friend. Do we care about this? Like, are we actually, is this actually something that everybody is like the majority? Because I honestly, as much as I do,
is part of that them telling you
now
that you don't need to care about it, Locke? Like, that's my question. It would be, we were told in Ontario, you don't need to worry about this province. Doug Ford's got it. No one voted. And so Doug Ford came back, and now he's carving up the green belt, and he's taking money away from teachers and students and fucking making people sick as fuck is what he's doing. Same thing there. Like that would be my question. And part of it is too, like, you're not getting the information because there's a reason they don't want you to have it about what their real intentions are. So you got people like Nate out there in Alberta slugging it along, getting fucking peppered with threats from the fucking political establishment. I get it all the time. I mean, I wrote a big piece today on how Antifa's coming after us now because of the Karima thing. And and what you see and what you're dealing with is real. Like it's very real. So to sit there and go, it might be this and it might be okay, is part and parcel of the fucking
bigger
province in the country waking up.
Stagnancy. Yeah,
right?
stagnancy.
Yeah.
We're all stagnant.
What I wanted to say was, is this going to work? Because I wanted to see what kind of response we would get back. Because I don't think I think people are more worried about other things right now in Alberta than fighting Ottawa. Because and you know what? We got lit up, Nate. Text line went crazy, and it was transfer payments, it was carbon tax, it was, people do think about that. And what I'm concerned about is that when we do step into a situation where we're voting, we might be in trouble if Rachel doesn't do the enough's enough and Danielle does start to hit things on the head. Are we going to end up where she gains a bit of momentum here based on things like even just the attempt at this sovereignty bill?
See, here's the
idea that she's attempting it might garner some support. That's terrifying to me.
Here's the conversation that I think we need to have in Alberta. I think we need to remember who we are. And I say this because I have had the privilege of serving the province of Alberta as a paramedic for over a decade. And I'm not saying that to give myself legitimacy. I'm saying that to provide context for what I'm going to say next. Because I've had the privilege of responding to the floods in Calgary. And I had the privilege of responding to the fires in Fort Mac. And that gave me an up-close view as to how amazing Albertans can actually be. We take care of each other. We take care of other people. And the thing that I wish that people thought about more is that it's very, very easy to go, well, you know, okay, so she's giving herself this power to do these unbelievably things, but is that really going to hurt me? It's very easy to do that. But if we're remembering who we are and remembering that, you know what? No, I don't want to see bad things happen to the people in my communities. I don't want to see bad things happen to the people that I care about. If we remember that, then it gets really, really easy to go, this is really fucked up right here.
Is that why you do the breakdown?
Yeah.
Is that what made you start it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
that's the vibe I get from your podcast is we're trying to explain to you what's happening so that you can be informed, and we need to have each other's backs right now because this is fucked. That's
Yeah.
And what is that? Explain that to me. What's your MO? Because like I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and I think we've all been educated to some extent. And I know Lachlan has for sure.
Same here. Absolutely.
But I've been educated.
I'm going to choose to take a little bit of it in, and I'll get back in.
Leave some out. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But what's your MO? Like, what does the breakdown want to accomplish by talking about these things? Because you and I have had a couple of private conversations. It's not for the faint of heart, because what you're doing is you're touching people in their no-no spot when they clearly want everybody else to stay away from it, right?
I mean, there's a couple of different pieces. You talked a bit about the white privilege piece earlier, and I really do believe that. I really do recognize that. I mean, I'm a middle-aged white guy who looks scary to a lot of people, so I get left alone most of the time. I don't have to deal with half of the stuff that a lot of people have to deal with just by nature of how I look, and that doesn't even include all of the other privilege that I get to enjoy. And at the end of the day, I think one of the questions that I've had to answer is, what do I want to do with that? Because you can either sit on your privilege and not assume any jeopardy and just go, well, I'll write a Facebook post now and then, or you can actually get in the fight. And so I come from a big punk rock background. That's what the bricks are actually about, Luck. But
I've been waiting this whole podcast for the basket to come down.
You're not getting the hose again.
Not getting the hose again. But it really does come from a place of if you don't get in the fight, things will only get worse, because the people who are committed to getting into the fight, one of the big advantage that I'll play to your narrative a bit there, Dean. One of the big advantages that evangelicals have is that they don't get discouraged. They don't. Yeah. They believe intrinsically that their identity is defined by how well they evangelize. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about people who don't have that religious fervor, it's much easier to go, I was discouraged, and walk away from whatever the situation is. But another big part of it and it actually comes from my run in 2019, is when I was out door knocking, when I was talking to people, I started to realize, like, holy crap, the amount of mis and disinformation that's out there and the inability to have conversations is really scary. It's really, really scary.
Well, because you wanted to have a conversation, right? Like this is the thing that prevents everybody from talking or having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
In situations like you, what prevents people from talking about it is fear, mm-hmm. right? And it takes an enormous amount of courage in a province like the one you live in to do a series of podcasts about people who are acting poorly because they hold the keys to the kingdom, right? And so they will employ any agency they can to come after guys like you, come after guys like me. And that is why I'm really looking forward to working with you, and why I'm grateful that you came on the show today, because there's strength in numbers. You talk about getting in the game. The more people that get in the game, the easier this is going to be to bring transparency and information to people who truly need it. Like even just talking about transfer payments. You educated me. You educated Lachlan. I'm sure Ryan probably already knew about it because of his involvement in federal and provincial politics. But you educated.
I still soaked a bit in. Yeah, this is great.
About how it works. And so I hope that you can come back, and I want to have you back on the show as much as you like, just to talk about the State of the Union, right? And to talk about why we do this job, because it's not something that, unless you get to a certain point or you aggregate or you go out and raise funds, this isn't something that you do to get rich, right?
Oh God, no.
Oh yeah, no kidding, right? I don't think any of us are in this for
much more courageous to me. Yeah. It's like you got people out there going broke trying to give you information so that you can be better informed. It's not to get you on a team, right?
It's like for the greater good.
To his podcast, he does it for the greater good because he believes being of good character and acts of the common good are the ultimate way to live. And we think the same thing. So we're going to find like-minded people, and we're hopefully going to keep bringing them to you so you can kind of understand different parts of this world and this country and how it works. And through the eyes and the lens and the information of good people like Nate, these are the people that you got to stay close to. It doesn't matter where you are. You need information from people that don't have any skin in the game other than trying to be a difference maker or a change agent. So Nate, thank you so much, dude. Really appreciate you being here today.
Well, thank you. Can I say one more quick little
Yeah,
thing?
please.
Just because I do want to kind of speak to the point that I think Lachlan was trying to make with an example of mine.
Good
You're
luck.
you're absolutely right in that you do not get rich doing podcasts, but you do get to see how beautiful people can be, because it was only a couple of months ago that I was advised that I was one of those people that you may or may not be alluding to there, Dean, was going to be coming for me. And I asked for help. I asked for help from the audience. I asked for help from the people of Alberta, and we started a GoFundMe, and that GoFundMe has put me in a position where I'm able to defend myself.
Good for you.
And this is why I say, ultimately, if you give good people something to show up for, they'll show up, and it's not going to pay for a fancy condominium for me by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't want one anyways, but if you give people something real, they'll show up. And I think that the support that the show has enjoyed in Alberta, and the support that I personally have enjoyed from being the recipient of, from people's generosity for recognizing that I was in a much bigger fight than I ever planned on being. Albertans take care of each other. They show up. And I think that's, again, that's what we need to remember. And the distractions that are people like Danielle Smith need to be reminded of that too.
Yeah, Nate, thanks,
Well
dude.
said.
Great to
Well
see
said.
you. Nate Pike, he's the host of a podcast called The Breakdown Alberta. You can find it anywhere. Did you just
Fantastic
call it
show.
The Breakdown when you subscribe? Just The Breakdown? Anywhere you get your podcast, Google, Apple, Spotify, etc. Really pleased to announce that we're going to be working with Nate on his podcast when we flip the switch over at the new gear, and we're really excited for that. Go ahead, Lynn. You want?
I was going to say, can I ask like a fanboy question of the breakdown?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Where's the puppet? Where's the Kenny puppet?
You got a Kenny puppet?
Can we see the Kenny puppet?
Oh my God.
There he is. Oh my God.
Right here.
I love this thing.
He's a little sad. He did a press
I
conference
bet.
in front of the legislature.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Lachlan, I'm going to send you some links. I know you probably haven't seen them yet, but I've got some videos that they've done with that puppet that will have you in stitches. It is so good.
Nate,
We'll
you and
retweet
I
them out
need
today.
to have a quick conversation, because I interviewed Kenny, and I'll tell you the story off air. But
Okay.
I'll send Nate the link of your interview too. I'll do it after. we get off the
go
show. But
subscribe to this
I
guy's
love
podcast.
that thing.
It's incredible. It's entertaining.
Amazing,
it's informative.
amazing
it's fun.
podcast, everybody.
Yeah, it's
that's
really
right.
good. So go and sub and follow him too at the Breakdown AB on Twitter. Anywhere else? Any other things that you want us to tell people to consume of yours, sir?
We're on the YouTubes.
The YouTubes.
We're on the YouTubes.
Me too. We're on the YouTubes.
Yeah,
where we are now.
I keep getting fucking blocked because of this show.
We're trying to learn how to do the streaming as well as the podcast, and we're going through the growing pains on that one. We had some fun audio stuff happen with our first attempt with Restream, but we're trying to get better at that.
We'll work it out.
Cool. I will.
Yeah, we can help.
No, we work together now. So
you work with us.
Our pro,
you get
our pro Restream and all the other stuff. So you just dust it and call Ryan, and we'll take care of that.
Nice.
Yeah, this is the way to go. The live thing's the way to go. Yeah.
Nice. I gotta throw 2 shout outs to the comments before I go. First of all, for Christopher, series of tubes, love it. And the other one I want to say is thank you everybody for all of the kind words about the microphone.
Sure, it's good, Mike.
How about you're sure?
I'm sure.
Nate, great to see you. Nate Pike, Breakdown Podcast.
Nice
Go and
meeting you,
download,
Nate.
subscribe.
Nice
We're going
meeting
to
you.
chat soon,
Great guy.
and you guys are going to exchange information, follow each other on Twitter, so you can get that stuff going, and Lachlan can put you on a show to educate the entire city of Edmonton. He's got the big rock show in Edmonton, so that'll be
Fantastic.
fun. All right.
Awesome.
Talk to you
Next
soon,
time you
Nate.
come back,
Thanks,
let's
buddy.
talk
All right.
music. Let's talk punk rock.
I'm
Yeah.
up for it.
All right. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Talk to you soon. Nate Pike, The Breakdown,
Awesome show.
Alberta. That's a great show.
They're so
I
good.
enjoyed him.
They do very well at what they do, and they make you understand it. It's just normal talk. It's just a normal guy telling you like a punk rocker telling you about politics. I mean, who fucking doesn't love that? Like they do such a good job.
You know what's interesting? Quite often I see people have a look in their eye when they're on with us. Like, what's going on? Like, why did I decide to do this?
Normally,
Yeah,
when
that
you
feeling
pipe up,
like-
that's
yeah.
right.
Well, because it's weird anytime we have a guest on and Lachlan's feeling plucky,
Yeah.
right? because what he wants to do, and listen, I love it. So what he wants to do is he wants to throw some fucking nutmeg in the mix and see if our boy Nate can stay with you. And not only did he stay with you, there was a point in the conversations where he's like, "Did you guys like gin him up just to fucking like? Did you bring him? Is he with you guys?" And I'm like, "This guy's gonna be a superstar.
He's the co-host.
He's awesome. Yeah. He's awesome. I love it.
I like how you use nutmeg like it's a Christmas thing. Good for you.
Sometimes
you're really coming around, eh?
I know.
Sometimes I do that though. Like and I see Dean doing it every once in a while as well. Like you're testing people, right? You're seeing where you can go with them, and you can see because I'll be honest, sometimes I like to see people snap,
squirm, or snap. I know that's you.
Yes,
you get off on it. I know.
I don't want violence.
That's bullshit. Yesterday, we're playing a clip of
I don't
these
want
two
violence.
McDonald's employees kicking the shit out
Yeah.
of each other, and you're like, I can't.
No, I don't want violence.
This is terrible.
Fuck you. I've got a ton of fucking people on my Twitter today telling me I'm a piece of shit and Lachlan's such a nice guy. That's not how this goes. Lachlan's the piece of shit. I'm the nice guy.
I knew it.
Fucks.
No, I think you guys both need to like take some time, maybe tonight, to reevaluate yourself as humans.
I think I would be okay.
You might be right.
Okay, but I appreciate it. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back tomorrow. We'll deal with the butt doctor and the toilet paper doctor, and Elon Musk.
I have a lot to say about this. Why do you keep bumping this from the?
I got no time. Like you got a heart out. I got a heart out. So let's just hard out. We had a great time with Nate. We don't have to.
Funny to say that because
I
yesterday I tried to get out early and it didn't happen.
You don't have a heart out
today? No, I was just joking.
Well, I do. Now I do. So, fuck it.
He's got Christmas movies to watch. That Lindsay Lohan movie's on tonight. It's a premiere tonight.
Dude, tell me this. So last night, I'll let you go with this because I got to split. But last night, so a buddy of mine heard the podcast and he's like, "Do you really watch those Hallmark movies?" I go, "Yeah, I love this because they're so fucking disturbing. You have to watch them." And he's like, "Okay." So he texted me this morning. He goes, "Have you seen the Lindsay Lohan brain injury Christmas movie?"
See?
Like, no, is it awesome? He goes, "Best show I've ever seen."
Lachlan has no idea how lucky he is he didn't pick up the studio line today because Dean and I conference called you to defend our honor when you were shitting on us.
I was wondering today. I almost did. I saw it flashing. And I was like,
it was us.
We called it always dangerous to go live
with
on my show. I'll be honest. Never a good idea.
No, it isn't. But you know
what?
Not
in Alberta.
No, it's not. Dude, the problem that you have is the problem that everybody has that has an immense amount of power. You just think you can push guys around.
Mm-hmm.
You can't push us around.
It's just not. It's just not true.
No,
it's just not true.
And I'm gonna call Jimmy, and I'm gonna get that backline, that studio backline from Jimmy, and we're calling you tomorrow.
We can talk about Hallmark movies because we're trying to figure out what to send Jimmy home to watch tomorrow with the midget at the movies.
Oh, you got to do the Lindsay Lohan brain injury one.
Okay, we'll put. Okay, we'll put that on. You know what? I'll call you guys tomorrow. Or Lynn's call around 6:45 because we're doing midget, which is 8:45 your time. Is that too early?
No, it's fine. Dean, you gonna be up?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Dean's up. I've called Dean at 7.
Dude, he and I were Lindsay and I were texting each other at like 4 o'clock the other morning.
Yeah,
we work. We care. I got a podcast network to run. I got business to do. I got people to talk to. I got jokes to say.
Can I plug the Metallica tickets too? People are going crazy for the Metallica tickets.
You can.
We're giving those away.
Okay.
8 a.m. in Edmonton. Listen for Metallica.
Yeah. So
I appreciate you letting me plug the show.
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for anybody in the Toronto area.
And it's a text contest, so you don't have to call in. You don't have to fight the lines. It's
St. Anger. I'll come for that show. They come to Edmonton. I'm coming on the 28th, by the way, for Big Sugar. So I'll just show up for the Metallica show too. Take your room over.
The Metallica show.
Tell your wife.
There's 2 dates in Canada.
I like a lot of fruit
Montreal.
around. Tell your wife I like a lot of fresh fruit around when I'm
coming,
there for 2 days.
Lisbeth.
I like dark roast coffee, and I need to have 10% creamer. Other than that, I have no.
Silk.
I need fresh towels.
Coffee.
Fresh towels are easy. The creamer. That's all I drink. So you're done.
Silk.
Okay, great.
And then fresh fruit. We always
I need it next to my bed. Too. I need like fresh fruit next to my bed, so make sure Deb knows.
Yeah, if you have a medical
That's-
emergency, he usually tries to cure it with fresh fruit. So you're in,
I'll
in
tell
good,
you-
good shape.
I'll tell
there.
you what.
That's good.
I'll give you Deb's number, and you
Oh,
you
this will
send
go
her a
well.
note with your listed demands.
No, call her and record it, please. I'd like to
Just
have this for the show.
videotape it.
Yeah. I also need margarine, as our boy Nate was pointing out. I need
We have
margarine, not
margarine.
butter. Okay, good. I don't like butter.
Okay.
So and I'd like to have.
How
a
do you
little bit
not
of
like
toast.
butter?
Well, I like margarine. I don't like butter.
You drink 10% cream, but you don't eat butter?
I think it's more for the
That-
flavor. You told me
It's
it's
for
for
the
the
flavor.
flavor.
It's just
Butter's-
it's a-
The fat, you want that fat. That's good fats. The creams, the fats in those creams and the fats in that butter, that's what you want.
I don't
That's
think so.
good for you.
I don't think so.
Margarine's like one step away from
I
plastic.
am. I'm
You shouldn't eat
specific. I
that.
have needs. I got dietary
butter.
needs. So make sure you pass them on to
Margarine
Deb
is
before I show
not-
He's
up.
British.
fucking
They
good
like
for you.
margarine. Just
Yeah,
get
I
it
like
for him,
margarine.
for Christ's
Yeah,
sake.
yeah. I won't eat anything. Anyway, look forward to seeing you. Thanks, bud. At Lachlan Cross on Twitter is where you can find him.
That was a good
and
one
make
today.
sure you listen. It was a
That's a
fucking
good one.
great show. God, that Nate. I'm gonna have Nate back every day. No, I
Yep.
probably won't do it. I'm gonna have to pay him.
You're gonna leave. I'm just gonna. I'll bow out and
Damn.
let Nate take my spot.
Yeah, that's just sorry. You've been bumped.
Sorry, Linz, you're gone. Nate's just great. You want to talk
Nate's
about
the new
politics?
Linz.
Yeah, that's it.
Alberta's
Nice knowing
taking
you
over.
guys.
Yeah, it's the Alberta show. No, I want to thank Nate Pike from the Breakdown. Make sure you go subscribe to that again. Thank the Lachlan Cross as well for showing up today at 95.7 Cruise FM in
See you,
Edmonton
boys.
online. You can go and
See you,
listen to him
pal.
every weekday morning. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you too, Linz. Linz Report. Make sure you download, subscribe that bad boy. Follow him on Twitter as well. We'll see you soon, brother. Thanks so much for
See you
being
more.
here. Ryan Lindley, Lachlan Cross, and of course, Nate Pike from the Breakdown. Great show. It was a lot of fun. Don't forget, you can find everything you do at deanblundell.com. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter there. I want to thank our sponsors, partners over at cantorque.com. Listen, if you're looking for industrial torque wrench tool needs, these guys have you covered. Canada's assembly tool experts. Go to Edmonton. This is a Canadian company that manufactures everything in Canada because they believe in employing as many people as they can to do a tremendous job of getting you rugged, hardworking, beautiful torque wrenches as Canada's leading industrial tool experts. They offer you the very best sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. Colin Livingston and his gang will take care of you no matter the scale of your bolting project. They have your solution. Visit cantorque.com today. Also, thanks to our boys over at Ed's Fine Imports. He makes Gitch. What kind of Gitch? Only the best. Boxer briefs, pouch in the front. You've been hearing about them. They've been around for a few years. Ed's perfected them. Made for Canadian packages. Go to edsfineimports.com. Sorry, start laughing. Edsfineimports.com. Get yourself a pair of his crazy Gitch. Pouch in the front. Super breathable boxer briefs. The only underwear you'll ever buy, and you get a free pair when you use promo code GITCH3. That is Gitch, then the number 3. Super simple for you to do it. And he'll send you a free pair when you order 3 or more. Clothing for men and boys at edsfineimports.com as well. And last but not least, looking for a good defense attorney? We use them all the time. Not defense attorneys, but we have a lot of lawyers. In fact, I'm using one right now. It's the best. Anyway, I enjoy them. One of them is my good friend Rob Kivlikin. And he owns a company called kivlaw.ca. Southern Ontario's best defense attorneys. They get you out of trouble. They keep you in the mix, and they help you learn from your experience. Whether you did it or not, listen, you need an advocate when it comes to going through legal issues, right? You really, really do. Someone that'll meet you where you're at. Rob's defense attorneys and his team are incredible. Make sure you get in touch with them if you're having a problem in Southern Ontario. kivlaw.ca or robert@kivlaw.ca. That is his email address. He's a good man, like one of the best men I know. And he will meet you where you're at, and he will help you take care of that business that you need to have taken care of. Bob's your uncle, Helen's your aunt. You'll be walking around free and happy, and all that fucking stress is off your back. That is what they do at kivlaw.ca. Check them out today. That's it for us. Thanks to Nate. Thanks to Locke. Thanks to everybody. Make sure that you come back tomorrow. We'll see you here around 3 o'clock. Bye.